The reason I did Scarface, or how it came to my attention, is I was watching the old Paul Muni film about 3 o'clock one morning when I couldn't sleep, or one evening when I couldn't sleep, and it occurred to me that a film like that, a film like Scarface, the rise and fall of an American gangster, had not been done, certainly not been done recently. Hadn't been done since Scarface.
And who's stopping me?
I am. I'm giving you orders for the last
There's
time.
only one thing that gets orders and gives orders, and this is it. I'm gonna write my name all over this town with it in big letters.
Hey, stop him, somebody.
Get out of my way, Johnny. I'm gonna spit.
Having had done a number of films with Pacino, I'd always wanted to do a large gangster film where he would have a part to play in this genre. And it occurred to me that this was not the old Scarface, because the old Scarface had to do with Prohibition, but the rise and fall of a gangster, an American gangster, a dynasty. I talked to Al about it, and I said, you know, there's something here. I don't know where it is yet.
I had heard about Scarface for a long time because I was working on a play by Bertolt Brecht called Arturo Ui, which was very influenced by the American gangster picture. And I heard, even as a kid, I remember my relatives talking about the Scarface and how George Raft flips the $50. And so I had heard a lot about it and never saw the picture. So I was one day walking along Sunset Boulevard, of all places, and there was the, I believe it's the Tiffany Theater now, and it was playing in a double bill with something else, I forget. It was Scarface, and there was a few of us. So I said, well, why don't we just go and take a look at it? And we went in, and it was, you know, an astounding movie, astounding. And the performance of Paul Muniz was astounding and inspiring. And I thought after that, that I just wanted to, you know, I wanted to imitate him. I wanted to do something. I was inspired by that performance. And I called Marty Bregman, who then put together some people, and they started working on developing this as a film.
We started to work on Scarface with David Rabe. That was the first screenwriter on it, and David and I were working on it, and the screenplay was not exactly going like everybody wanted it to. It was, and ultimately I felt that we couldn't all agree on what we were trying to do, and David and I left the project.
And I started to talk to other people, and one of the people I talked to was Sidney Lumet.
Sidney Lumet had the idea of putting it in Cuba, which I thought was a brilliant idea. For years, I remember even Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro had the Scarface movie in their repertoire of things they wanted to do, and it was a difficult thing to break through and find our way in to do it in today's world.
He says, well, why don't you do this about the cocaine world? And it occurred to me that that's it. That's it. And I enlisted Oliver, who I'd known for a long, long time. Oliver and I were very good friends. And we embarked on this venture, this quest to explore the cocaine world.
He came to me after the failure of my picture I directed called The Hand, and wanted my services back as a writer. And I needed money, and I was in a tough place. I was leaving America. And he said he wanted to do Scarface. I said, I'm not really interested in remakes, you know. It was not until Sidney Lumet came into the picture, I think shortly thereafter, we had another conversation, and he told me that Sidney Lumet was very anxious to do the movie and wanted to do it Cuban, Miami, 1980, 81, the Mariel boat lift to Miami. I started into the research into Miami. I went to Miami extensively, and I got to know both sides. I got to know the law enforcement side, the attorney's office, the gangster elements through the lawyers, the ex-gangster elements, and then eventually I wanted more, and I plunged on into the Caribbean. I went down to Bimini. On another trip, a separate trip, I went to Ecuador and to Bolivia. My wife was with me because she was sort of like part of my security. a man with a woman that seems a little less sinister or less intrusive than a single man. Naturally, we struck up conversations with a lot of guys with jewelry, kind of playboy types. And I told them I was a screenwriter and I was doing a movie about this stuff, and they were flattered. We started talking and went back to their place, drinking, snorting, having a party. And I had mentioned the name of somebody who had helped me in Miami with my research. This person had been a defense attorney. When I mentioned the name, their faces went white. It meant that I may have been in some way connected to the prosecution or to a cop or an enforcement officer, and I was just pretending to be a screenwriter, and I was going underground here. I knew I was in trouble. It was a scary moment, and it was good for me to get back in touch with that fear that I had felt so often in Vietnam. Because that fear is sort of what the essence of Scarface is about. If you can capture those moments of fear, the concept of you don't know what's going to happen next, the violence can come at any time. And I wrote Scarface in Paris, actually. It got me away from that world of cocaine, because I was doing cocaine myself, and it was interfering with my thought process, and my brain cells were being damaged, you know? So I really needed to get away from America, because I knew too many people here who were doing coke. It was a time of cocaine and excess.
You do too much of that shit, you know?
Nothing exceeds like excess. You should know that.
I just got the script, and on the first reading of the script, I realized how Oliver had captured that world and made it his own, and brought out that the wonderful texture and nuance and power.
When Sidney read the screenplay, he didn't quite like it. He felt it should take more of a political direction, and I thought that not only wouldn't work, it wasn't true.
He thought it was too violent and over the top, and wasn't what he wanted to do. So he left the project, which was disappointing. And obviously I would have loved to have directed. I had directed The Hand and Seizure, but it was a big film with Pacino, and they would not let me direct it.
I went out and looked for another director, and ultimately found De Palma, who saw the film as I saw it, as Oliver had written it.
When I first started with David Rabe, we had more or less tried to start with the original Scarface, Italian, Chicago. The script that came to me ultimately that Bregman had developed with Stone was completely different. Nothing I had ever envisioned, and that's why I liked it so much, because it was a whole new way of approaching this material. And those elements were in the original script. I liked the material specifically because, to me, it was sort of like a modern metaphor for the Treasure of Sierra Madre, where cocaine becomes gold, and it's a kind of the American dream gone crazy, where you have this product that you can turn into millions of dollars, but in the process you destroy your life. And it's sort of like the capitalist dream gone bizarre and berserk and as crazy as it can get, and completely self-destructive.
I think the direction that we chose was pretty much embodied in the original Scarface. The elements that were basic in the construction of the Muni Scarface.
I like Johnny, but I like you more.
I like Frank, you know? Only I like you better.
It was the sister, the mother, the Manola, the Manny character, okay? His love affair with his competitor's girlfriend. I mean, all of these things were in the original Scarface. And Oliver, being the brilliant writer that he is, invented the rest of it.
Bregman made some very, very important and very helpful suggestions. Pacino had some good ideas. Brian De Palma came onto the project and was very supportive, and when we came to shoot the film, he allowed me to take part in the film, be there and study it.
You know, Al is very much interested in the material and how the characters developed and how it's plotted out. And Oliver, of course, has very strong opinions, and it was a kind of lively collaboration, as I recall.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand? Do you want to go on with me? You say it. You don't? Then you make a move.